pleased to be joined now by Carma Peters. She is the president and CEO of Michigan Legacy Credit Union, back with us once again on the MegaCast. Carma, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Tyler.
Appreciate having you on. So lately, and we've spoken to the Better Business Bureau of Michigan about this. We've spoken to a couple of certified financial planners about this and CPAs about this. We're seeing an increase in caregiver scams with some of our elderly residents here in the state of Michigan. And it's becoming a problem all across the state of Michigan. And what does your institution, Michigan Legacy Credit Union, what advice do you have for our elderly citizens that may be members of your credit union, of another credit union, or just in general to scope out what may be some of these caregiver scams and avoid falling victim to them?
Absolutely. So our staff is very attentive to this. They're trained to watch for these type of scams and fraud. So the best advice we can give to family members would be to, one, before they go into a full-time caregiver situation or have someone enter the home, make sure that someone that your elderly person trusts is on the account. The reason this is so important is because of right to financial privacy. We want to make sure if we notice something, we have the ability to talk to someone in the family to say, hey, we are spotting a problem. Does this transaction sound okay to you? And if they're not on the account, we can't really do that. It becomes very difficult to do that. Not only that, but as the population ages, once a caregiver is in the home, they become very trusted to that person. So even though we may try to warn them that this is a scam, we know this is a scam, don't do this, they become very fond of the person that's providing care. So having that family member on the account, looking at the account, looking at transactions, and asking questions is so important.
And in terms of the families, sometimes in some of these cases, the families are able to interject. They are able to see some of those red flags come up. But in many cases, that interaction between a caregiver and an elderly person, that is this caregiver's client, may not be something that is in the full line of sight of the immediate family. What are some red flags that family members of these elderly people should be looking out for in that relationship between their family member or their other loved one and their caregiver?
They should know their loved one's expenses and what they spend. Typically, what we watch for is abnormal activity, something that's out of character for that person. Of course, the easiest one is when they come in and ask for large amounts of cash. That's an easy red flag. But sometimes it could be their caregiver that gets access to their account and takes out smaller transactions that don't become noticeable until they add up. I recently talked to someone who said it was 6 years. They weren't elderly, but it was 6 years of regular transactions coming out before they realized it was fraud, because it was a known transaction, but they weren't counting how many times it actually happens. So adding those dollars up can make a big difference, and that can be a huge red flag as well.
And what can be done to stop these scams once they're already in process? Because like you said, in many cases, these elderly people have grown a rapport with their caregiver. They have grown a trust with their caregiver, and they don't maybe fully understand that they're being taken advantage of. Are there steps that can be taken from the family angle in order to intervene and stop these scams from continuing from the banking institution?
Absolutely. Make sure the caregiver doesn't have access to financial information, your loved one's debit cards and credit cards, all those kind of things. Make sure they're locked up. The other thing is, again, monitoring their account, looking for those things that seem out of normal, and being on the account so that we can call. One of the changes in legislation that just passed is that we can freeze an account if we become suspicious. Prior to that was very difficult to do without going to an attorney. Just because it's their account, we don't necessarily always have the right to say you can't have your money. But due to recent legislation, we do have the ability to freeze accounts when we suspect fraud or are concerned of a large fraud transaction.
And so these issues with caregiver scams. They have parallels to other scams, but they also, these steps that you're taking to prevent them or to mitigate these scams and help your loved one or your family member, whoever it may be, out of this situation, it has parallels to other general banking steps that regular people and everyday people that are not in this situation should also be taking. One thing that I know you would like to speak about today, or other topics that you may speak about today, is maintaining good credit. And one thing that people maybe don't do enough or don't put enough focus into is to constantly monitoring their credit reports as often as they possibly can in order to identify those discrepancies, because identifying them early can be the difference in many cases between dealing with a significant identity theft or fraud issue, or getting ahead of it beforehand and maybe shutting down whoever may be perpetrating that early on in the process by just overwhelming them early.
Absolutely. You can go to freeannualcreditreport.com to get a copy of your credit report, and you can contact all three bureaus, being Equifax.com, Experian.com, and TransUnion.com. The other key is, one thing people don't think about is if you do have a family member that is using online banking to pay for things, accessing their passwords, making sure their email is secure, making sure they don't click on links. Sometimes what people don't realize is with the online banking or bill pay tool, you have one password and you can actually control the way payments are made. You can control them by setting them up monthly or choosing to pay them with each time you log in, but that's your access to that, and it can help stop a lot of fraud when you have multiple passwords to all different kinds of vendors or utilities, things like that you pay.
We're joined by Carma Peters. She is the president and CEO of Michigan Legacy Credit Union, with us today on the MegaCast. Learn more information and find out how you can get in contact with Carma and her team to ask any questions you may have by going to MichiganLegacyCU.org. MichiganLegacyCU.org to get in contact with Michigan Legacy Credit Union. And Carma, your organization is going through some changes as well, kind of refacing how you go about operations at each of your branches. Care to tell us a little bit about some of those changes and how that may ease the process of banking at Michigan Legacy Credit Union for those members?
Absolutely, Tyler. Thank you. We started analyzing business and transactions and traffic quite a few years ago with our board of directors. And everybody, I think, recognizes that transactions in lobbies are going down and electronic transactions are going up. So after analyzing how many of our members actually support each branch, we decided to do a transformation. It was time. Our branches were old and tired. And we found some really advanced technology that makes banking easy. So you come into the lobby and we have a video monitor. You can go to the expert, so the person that's going to provide you the most accurate information, regardless of what topic you come in for. If you are looking for a mortgage loan, if you need information on any of your cards, just general information, or help making payments. This digital platform allows you to sign documents while talking to our staff that are either in Wyandotte or Warren, and allows you to execute all that seamlessly. The nice thing about that is once you do it in the lobby, members love it so much, we get the opportunity to tell them now you can do that from your desktop at home or your mobile phone in our mobile app.
We're joined by Carma Peters. She is the president and CEO of Michigan Legacy Credit Union. And so, and with that being the case, with there being less of a focus on in-person banking, going to a teller, going to an ATM, or going to and doing banking in any other form at the branch itself, and focusing more online, security has to be a concern as well, or at least something that is a question for members and for the outside public. What is your institution doing with some of these changes, with more focus on non-interactive banking on an everyday scale, to maintain that security infrastructure, knowing that we are in a much more digital world, and that includes people's finances?
Absolutely. So, one of the things most people don't realize is that the banking industry is highly regulated. We have annual IT audits and we have IT exams on a regular basis, as well as the extra security that we do on an ongoing basis every day of the week. So, those things, when we look at any new vendor, we have to vet them very diligently to make sure that the information is secure, to make sure they're not sharing information that they're not privileged to share, that has nothing to do with us doing business. So our IT department is very rigorous about defending members' information. We know in this world today it's not impossible, but we pride ourselves on the work that we do to make sure that our members' data is kept safe and secure.
We're joined by Carma Peters, the president and CEO of Michigan Legacy Credit Union, with us today on the MegaCast. Learn more information at MichiganLegacyCU.org. That is MichiganLegacyCU.org. And during the pandemic, a lot of people did experience some financial troubles. Maybe they didn't have the cash in their bank accounts to make some of their critical payments. And in many cases, when that happens, people tend to turn to putting some of those expenses on their credit cards. That can build up debt really quickly, and that can put them in a whole host of other issues down the line, even when their checking account and when their savings does start to recover. What are some tips that you have and that your institution is providing to people in terms of managing their credit cards to make sure that they are not going into a situation where they may have further issues to manage because of accumulating costs?
The first thing that we want to share with people is to contact us early. The earlier you contact us, the more options that we have to help you. Avoiding contact does not help the situation. It only makes the situation worse. I'm proud to say that we were able to help all of our members that needed assistance during the pandemic, and we continue to do that and to work with them. But when it comes to your credit cards, really important things are: try not to charge more than 50% of your balance. Your available credit is the #1 indicator of your credit score. So keeping your balances below 50% of any open line is really important and can make a very big difference. Obviously, pay them on time. If you can't contact us right away, we have some alternatives that'll help avoid any derogatory reporting on your credit report. And we can only do that when you contact us and let us know what's going on and just work with us. So it's not hard to overcome credit if you've been in a tough situation. We want to work with members. We've seen many members come back and end up raising their credit score a couple different tiers to gain interest back after they've experienced hardships in life. It just takes a lot of hard work and diligence.
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of focus, and doesn't go quickly in many cases. It's something that you have to really build and work at over time, especially if you're recovering from derogatory information that can remain on your credit report for years, or identity theft, or fraudulent inquiries, whatever the case may be, whatever situation you might be in. Maintaining and building your credit is a years-long process, and you need to have good partnership with your banking institution, with your creditors as well, in order to build that and to maintain that. We're joined by Carma Peters, the CEO and the president of Michigan Legacy Credit Union, today on the MegaCast. Carma, just another couple minutes with you today before we'll say goodbye. Any other information that would be important for our audience to be considering right now in terms of their banking or other interesting information or news from Michigan Legacy Credit Union?
Tyler, I would just say, going back to elder abuse, because it's such a big concern, there's over 35,000 financial cases reported in the state of Michigan. One of the biggest tips and research that's been done is that if you can hand the older population handwritten information on things to look for, they're very keen on reading that information, and once they read it, they'll retain it and remember it, so they can stop those red flags early on themselves. It's a great way. So there's lots of information on the website. We're happy to hand it out. We're happy to do any training, whether it's on financial abuse or budgeting and credit score repair. Just give us a call. There's many credit unions out there in the industry that love to assist members and do education. So reach out. We'd love to help you.
Well, Carma, we appreciate your time and your insight on a number of different issues that may be affecting people in our community and across the state of Michigan. These are tough situations to deal with in many cases, but if you get out ahead of them and you know what to look out for, that can make those processes a lot easier and get you opening those lines of communication with your banking institution a lot sooner. So we appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tyler.